Hello, my first graders. Today we're going to go over our parts of our letter again, but today we're also going to focus on the part of our letter that is our greeting. Okay, so let's review the parts of our letter before we get into talking about our greeting today. You ready? You're going to do the motions with me. Don't forget, not just the motions, but say the words as we go. Okay, so that way we know the parts of the letter. All right, you ready? Heading, greeting, body, closing, signature. Good. Let's do it again. You ready? Heading, greeting, body, closing, signature. All right, those are the parts of the letter. I'm going to point. Now I want you to say them, okay? Do the motions, say them and say them. You ready? All right, one more time. Heading, greeting, body, closing, signature. So we've been talking about our parts of the letter. The heading is always the date, right? We start with the date at the top at our heading, whatever day you started your letter. The greeting is who our letter is to. It always starts with the dear. So instead of saying like, hi class, I would say, dear class, okay? So it's who you're writing to, okay? Whether it's your class, and we'll talk about more about who you can write to, more about this greeting in just a minute. The body is the main part. We talked about different kinds of bodies we can write. Maybe we could write a thank you note, or maybe it's a hi, how are you? Maybe you want to tell them about your holiday. Maybe you want to tell somebody about how you miss them, or you want them to come over. Okay, so the body is the main part of our letter. It's the sentences that we're writing. Closing is our way of saying goodbye, right? We'll talk more about this on a different day, but we can use words like from or sincerely. And then signature is our name, right? Signature, and we said we don't write in cursive, we print our name. The signature is where you write your name. It's so you can let the person know, hey, I'm done. This is my name. I wrote this letter to you. All right, so today we're going to focus on greeting. So I am going to peel this off and I'm going to move you a little closer to me. All right, my writers. So our greeting is where we tell them who we're writing to. Okay, we address them. So it's kind of like when you see your friend and you're like, hi, Susie, how are you? Hi, Tim, how's it going? Our greeting is a way of saying hello to the person. We always say dear. We don't start with hi, Susie. We say dear Susie. So now we have to talk about, well, who could we write to? So let's brainstorm a little bit. Some of the people you can write to could be a teacher. You could write to me. You could write to another teacher. It could be your special area teacher. Okay, you can write to a teacher. Okay, tell them anything. Teachers love getting letters and hearing about how you're doing. You could write to a friend. Okay, so it could be any friend you have, a friend at school, a friend that you're seeing in your Zoom meetings, a friend that's in your class. Maybe it's a friend that's in your neighborhood. You write to a friend. Okay, so think about what your friend's name is. We wouldn't say dear friend. We would say dear Jim, dear Susie, dear Laura. Okay, so we would say their friend's name. And remember, your friend's name would start with a what kind of letter? A capital, right? Because it's the name of a person. Same thing with teacher. You wouldn't say dear teacher. You would say dear Mrs. Bell or dear Mr. Rueff. You would say the teacher's name, okay? Make sure their name gets a capital letter. You could write to family. Now, family could be anybody in your family. An aunt, an uncle, a cousin, a brother, a sister, a grandma, a grandpa, okay? Anybody in your family, okay? Think about any of them. Now, you wouldn't usually just say, if it's your cousin, you wouldn't say dear cousin. you would think about what you call your cousin. What's their name? Okay. So you want to think about the name of your family member. Think who you want to write to. Maybe it's somebody you see a lot. Maybe it's somebody you don't see very often. You could write to your mom and dad. They go together with family, but a lot of times people like to say, oh, my mom, my dad. Okay. You can write to any family member. You can write to a neighbor. Do you have a neighbor that you play with? Or maybe we have a lot of older people in my neighborhood. So maybe it's somebody who you just think would like to have a letter. Maybe you think they're lonely and they'd like to hear from you. Okay, you can write to a neighbor. Now this one is a little different. This word is important. You can write to someone important. It could be someone you don't know, like the governor or the president of the United States, or maybe an astronaut. Okay, it could be somebody important. Maybe you read about someone important, or you heard about someone important on the news, or maybe your family talks about somebody who's important. If you'd like to write a letter to them, okay, you can do that. So it wouldn't say dear important, you would say the name of the person. Dear Kamala Harris, dear, I don't know the name of an astronaut that's alive still. But you could write to somebody important, okay? You might want to make sure you find out what their name is and how to spell their name. A grown-up can help you with that. And you can write to them. If you want to find out about an astronaut, what they do in space, you can write a letter to that astronaut and ask them about it. A lot of times, important people have their addresses online so that people can send them letters. They like receiving letters, and maybe you'll get a letter back from them. So you might want to think about somebody important that you'd like to write a letter to, somebody who you don't know as a person, but that maybe you have some questions that you'd like to ask them or things that you want to tell them. So those people you can write to. So what you are going to do today is, on a piece of paper, I would like you to make a list of people you can write to. Okay, so today's a brainstorming day where you're going to write down names of people you'd like to write to. Okay, so think it through. Think about who you might like to write a letter to. And maybe you will or maybe you won't, but put their name down so that when you're coming up with your letters later on, you have an idea of, who can I write to? So think about names of these people and write them down. All right, boys and girls, happy writing.